Hello and welcome back to F1 22 Driver Career Mode. Today, a couple of things happening. We got to renew our contract, and second, it's the Austrian Grand Prix, and that means it's a sprint weekend, so it's going to be a fun one today. Hopefully, the last time we had a sprint weekend, it didn't go very well, but we'll sweep that under the rug. It doesn't matter. Anyway, contract signed. We went for the low risk option. At the end of the British Grand Prix, we actually got the renewal come up, and I tried to go for the medium risk option, and they declined it. So we come back the next day, do low risk. We do not want to be finding ourselves in a lower field team. So for now, we're just going to play it safe. Obviously, we haven't really proven ourselves yet, so we haven't really got much right to be demanding more money. So go with the low risk option. We've signed it. This is what we're looking at in terms of the standings. It's gone. Hopefully you saw it. We managed to have a good result in Britain. We had a great scrap with Sergio Perez for a lot of the race. Managed to get ourselves a P6, so that's good. We are taking a couple of older components into the car for this weekend. We may have to take new components later on though, because the wear is looking quite high. Upgrade wise, a major weight reduction coming on in time for Spa. That's going to be big for us. Anyway, it's time for qualifying. Of course, the qualifying happens on the Friday, so we've only had one practice session before this. So let's see how we do. And here we go then, onto the track for our first flying lap in qualifying one. Be hoping for a decent result in qualifying here, because if we can get ourselves a good start in the sprint, we can obviously capitalise, hopefully move up some places in the sprint race and end up starting better on the Sunday. If we don't take new components, that is. We are probably going to need to do that, so take this with a pinch of salt, but we'll see as we come to complete what will be our second lap in Q1. And we've improved a little bit, just about nearly 2 tenths as we head into the last couple of corners. Big improvement there, and we lose some of it in the final corner, but that's okay. We come round and improve. But it's only a P17 for us, unfortunately, so regardless of whether we were going to take components, we are definitely going to take components now because we're out in Q1, so there's really no point in not doing it. We're only going to lose 5 positions, and we've got pace in this car, so yeah, we're going to take some engine penalties, I think, and I say 5 places, not even 5 places, 3 places. We're going to go back to last, obviously, so yeah, we might as well do that. Obviously, in the sprint race, they won't apply, but they will in the main race.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and starting next to them is George Russell. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Sainz, Verstappen, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Perez, Norris, Bottas, Magnussen, and Esteban Ocon, Gasly, Vettel, Yuki Tsunoda, and Mick Schumacher, Ricciardo, Stroll, Marshall, and Alex Albon, Joe, and Nicolas Latifi. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out.
We're not seeing any technical issues coming off the practice starts. Watch the RPM on the full start. We don't want you to bog down.
Here we go then for the formation lap for our second ever sprint race in F1 22, and it's going to be around Austria. This is a fun little track, a good track for a sprint race, I would say, as we come around to take our correct position. Not sure what happened there, but here we go then, parking up. Decent parking.
Decent parking. Let's try and get a good launch as the lights go out.
See what we can do from P17 on the grid. We've got to get ourselves up to at least 8th to score points today as the 5 red lights start to illuminate. And we're underway for the sprint race in Austria. Not the worst start, but certainly not the best. Albon absolutely flying. Latifi flying past. Okay, it was a bad start. Joe Guanyu also about to get past us. Let's have another look at that start then. George Russell into turn 1. straight into the lead. What a brilliant start from him. You can see ourselves in the top right corner into the first corner as well, over that curb. Not ideal. Max Verstappen down in P4. Carlos Sainz is just on that last step of the podium at the moment, but will he stay there as Max Verstappen looks to go around the outside into turn 3? He might just do it. No, he's not going to do it on this occasion, but he should get a good run. Lewis Hamilton chasing them both down as well as they head down into turn 4. Is he going to do it round the outside into turn 4? Has he not learned from Checo's mistakes? No, he hasn't, as he goes round the outside of Carlos Sainz, but Carlos Sainz is not done yet, of course, as they head through the rest of the lap. Side by side still. This is great racing into lap 1 of the sprint race. George Russell, good half a second away from Leclerc now, but we'll see what happens when DRS gets enabled, and Max Verstappen comes out on top of that battle with Carlos Sainz, but Carlos Sainz is going to go for it into the last couple of corners, and he does go up the inside. Max gets absolutely squeezed to the left hand side, and that lets Lewis Hamilton through as well. Lewis Hamilton now going to have a go on Carlos Sainz. This might be 2 overtakes in 2 corners. Is he going to do it? Let's find out. No, he's not. So Lewis Hamilton in P4 for now, back on board with us. On lap 2, you can see just ahead, Stroll and Tsunoda having a little battle on that.
The energy stores depleting, reducing our overall capacity. The more charge you hold, the faster that capacity.
That means we can hopefully get amongst this, as we almost lose our front wing as Stroll and Tsunoda touch, and Stroll slowed right down. Almost brake checked us unintentionally. Heard there that our energy store is on its last legs, which is not ideal. So we're going to have to use some of that energy to hopefully keep it alive. But we're going to take new components anyway after the sprint. So not all bad news as we head up to turn 3. Are we going to send one on Stroll? Oh, we clip him there. So we thought about it, then we thought, nah, maybe not. Got on the brakes too early. We just had to move too late. Sorry, had to move out of the way. So we accidentally overtook him there, but we have got wing damage. So we're not going to pit and fix it. We've obviously only got 12 laps. That would completely ruin our race. But yeah, we're going to just carry on with slight wing damage. In this game, it's not too bad. So we'll see how we get on. I still think we've got the pace to catch up to those in front, as we see demonstrated here as we move on to lap 4. We're going to go up the inside on Tsunoda and just about get it stopped before we plough into the back of Daniel Ricciardo in that McLaren set. A purple first sector, so obviously the pace is still there and the wing damage is not too bad, so we'll just carry on.
That's P14. You're in P14.
Oh, I'm happy with that one. Can we get Ricciardo? I think we can. I think we just have to be patient about it as we see ahead Esteban Ocon going almost sideways through the final corner. And that means that everybody else has to slow down, including us. And Tsunoda just says, thank you very much. And absolutely sails through. We've got 5-6 cars here battling for the same piece of tarmac. This is insane. Here goes, oh, look at this. Tsunoda gets boxed in by his own teammate as he tries to get past us. So now it's 3 abreast. 5 cars here, 3 abreast going into turn 3. Who's going to come out on top of this one? Looks like we are. We go up into P10. That's a lot of places for us. We'll take that. Can we hold it though as the DRS opens? We did manage to get DRS, which is ideal. So yes, we do. As we go into turn 4, we've managed to keep the 2 AlphaTauris behind us, and of course overtaken Daniel Ricciardo in the process, which means our teammate is up next, which I don't think will be too much of an effort. And then it's points. Schumacher is in 8th, collecting that last point for the sprint at the moment, but hopefully we can do that as we catch up to Esteban Ocon. Having a bit of a moment on the way out of turn 3. DRS on. Can we get him into turn 4? I don't know. Big Charles Leclerc last weekend style lunge there. Well, not last weekend, it was a few weekends ago now, but that was a big lunge. And up we go into P9. Now, all we've got to do is we get a yellow flag in Sector 1. Who's that? Magnussen having an issue out of this race. All we've got to do now is catch up to Schumacher and hopefully overtake.
Green flag.
I don't think we're going to really be able to do much more than that, to be honest, because if you look ahead, Vettel in P6, we've actually we're in the points now, but yeah, Vettel in P6 is way up the road. But with that free place from Magnussen, we get a point, and it's just as well, really, because I don't think we're going to catch Schumacher, which is unfortunate. But Charles Leclerc comes round then to complete the second sprint race in this season, and he wins it, taking top points, followed by Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton topping off that podium. Wonder what happened to Max Verstappen. I think he just couldn't get back at Lewis after he got pushed out in those earlier laps. But we come across the line in P8, and that's a point. I'll take that from where we started back in P17. Not really going to make too much of a difference though to the grid. Tomorrow we get driver of the day. That's nice. We're going to take new components across the board. So we're going to be starting at the back tomorrow. But a point is nice either way. Esteban Ocon didn't quite manage to do it. He got top 10, but that's not how the sprint works, unfortunately. So it's a good sprint race. I enjoyed that one. Much better than Imola. Let's put it that way. So with all that said, let's head to Sunday and see what we are going to do about these engine components. Lots of worn components on this car, and of course we've used them all, so we can introduce new ones into the pool. We can't take a new gearbox because we haven't used all of those yet, but we will introduce everything else, and we'll put ourselves at the back for the Grand Prix.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg, and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. It's a short lap here in Spielberg with just 10 corners, 7 to the right and 3 to the left, making up the total distance of 2.6 miles. And expect to see a lot of cars running wide today, especially through the last corner, as the wet conditions make the cars skittish through the downhill sections. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Perez, Lando Norris, and Vettel. Mick Schumacher, Ricciardo, they've taken a grid penalty. Ocon and Yuki Tsunoda. Verstappen, Joe, George Russell and Albon. Latifi, Stroll, Pierre Gasly and Valtteri Bottas. Magnussen, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Marshall. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Right, let's get the car up to temperature on this lap, please. We're loading the gears, so let's go through them all if you can.
That was a weird one. Pierre Gasly didn't move off the grid, and it said he was disqualified at the start, so I don't think he is, but we'll see. A full wet start then. This is going to be interesting. Really going to even some things out, I should imagine, as we come back round to form the grid after yesterday's sprint when we collected a point. What can we do today?
Not the best placement there, mate. Let's try and get a good launch.
Yeah, not ideal parking as we wait for the 5 red lights. Starting dead last. We're underway for the Austrian Grand Prix in the wet. A much better start in the wet than we've had in the dry so far, so that's a good sign. What can we do into turn 1? Can we make up a few places? Bottas moving over. It looks like we can make a few places. That's us up into P17 then. And Alexander Albon fighting with Pierre Gasly just ahead of us might also play into our hands if we can get the car, get some momentum in the car as we head into turn 3. It's a big concertina effect here. Everybody sort of ends up right on top of each other. And we managed to pass Pierre Gasly there, so we'll take that. Up into P15 ahead of Alexander Albon. That's good. But he's going to get the run on us and head down the inside. I thought he would back out of that. He didn't, as we went 3 wide with Joe Guanyu into turn 4. And, nearly losing the back end there. We did come out ahead, but Alex is not done yet as he sticks his nose in. An interesting place to do it, but I suppose you've got to do what you've got to do. You want to make up these places early on in the Grand Prix if you can. Lots of sliding around in the wet weather conditions, but the car seems pretty quick so far, so we can get ourselves up to those points, that would be ideal. Max Verstappen and George Russell must have taken penalties because they're all the way down. George isn't even in the points, and here they are fighting for one single point as George Russell goes up the inside into turn 1. And Max Verstappen says, I don't think so, son. And he carries on in front for now, but I don't think this battle's over as we head up into turn 3. Here's the onboard of Yuki Tsunoda, who's trying to also get involved as he goes up the outside. What's going to happen here? Is he going to take the place from George? He squeezes him to the inside there. That was very aggressive from Yuki, but I think he might have just got that, you know. Looks like he hasn't as we move on to the second lap. This is my point of view of that scrap.
Good job, nice overtake.
And of course overtaking Latifi in the process. We'll take that as we move up into P13 on our way to the points paying positions. Tsunoda, still side by side with George Russell, is absolutely playing right into our hands. You can see Verstappen is not far ahead either, and he's our target for now to get into the points. But I would imagine he'll work his way up and maybe push some other cars down, which might be beneficial for us because we should be able to catch the slower cars as we head into the third lap. Of course, it's wet, so no DRS unfortunately, but we are deploying some battery on the run up to turn 3. We send it up the inside, clout on the back of George's car, just gently.
The track is still going to be wet for a while, be careful.
But we did get greeted with a battle for 10th with Ricciardo and Russell, so hopefully for us, Ricciardo comes out on top, I would say, and holds up Russell for a bit longer. It means we can close in and hopefully make the most of that, but we'll see how it goes. It looks like Russell has come out on top so far. There's still a little bit side by side here. No, Russell's in front now, so yeah, Ricciardo can't hold him up. Not that he would hold them up for us, but obviously the McLaren is way slower than that Mercedes. But fingers crossed we can get him, and that will put us into P11, which means ever closer to the points, of course. We've got a yellow flag here. What's happened? That is Esteban Ocon, who's spun round. That's not what we wanted to see. He had a great start, but here's the onboard. Here's what happened. He just went for a little drift, and he could have saved that, I feel. But instead of staying off the power, he just put more on, and yeah, ended up spinning the car around and had to wait an age. He's all the way at the back now. He had to wait ages for everybody to come through, unfortunately. So here we are, though. Oh, that was it. What just happened there? Can we have another look at that? So here's the onboard of George Russell. I'm just behind him, and I send it on George, and I accidentally send it on Max as well. So that puts us up into P8. 2 cars in 1. Yeah, we'll take that, but I don't think we're going to hold on to that for very, very long. Russell got through on Max as well. I think Max was caught a bit off guard there, but yeah, that was an interesting overtake. Not one I'd probably want to recommend very often when you're on sim damage, but here we are on lap 10. Somehow we've managed to keep ourselves ahead and in 8th place, so that's 4 points for us at the moment, but obviously still a fair way to go. A good 26 laps as George Russell makes me eat my words as he overtakes and puts us back down into P9, and Max Verstappen's not far behind, so we're going to have to keep an eye on him as well. We're on board with Max. That's a big slap of oversteer for us as we come round towards the final couple of corners, which means we are going to find ourselves down in P10, unfortunately. This is our onboard of that big snap. Through goes Max, who's basically handed him the position there, and yeah, back down into P10. Unfortunately now this is going to be way more difficult to overtake those two because we haven't got a slower car really that's right in front of them. The next car is a little further up the road, and that's the Haas of Mick Schumacher, I believe. So, yeah, Max made a mistake there, and we just didn't quite catch it on time. And for the second race in the same weekend, we've got wing damage. Not ideal. Anyway, we carry on. The wing damage isn't too bad, to be honest. Schumacher and Russell having a bit of argy-bargy just ahead of us there. So what I said about the slower car not holding them up was not strictly true. So that's good. We're in P9, but of course we know that Max is definitely a threat in that Red Bull. We just need to try and keep our lap times consistent and clean and see what we can do. But I reckon Max might have a go here. If you watch the arrow, a very, very late move, and he almost spins us around there as he basically just barges his way through. That was very rude. I'd like to have a look at that from a different angle if we can. Here we are. Look at that. We were fully in the corner and Max just said, all right, I'm coming through. And yeah, literally just barged us out of the way. Not ideal. So we're into P10. This is the onboard of Max. And he just went, yeah, move, I'm coming.
Check your MFD
Lovely.
for new strategy option.
Anyway, as the race progressed, the track is starting to get a bit drier. We decided to go long on the wets, hoping we could make it to the dries. It doesn't really seem to be working out that way. The inter runners are absolutely flying, so we're gonna come in, I reckon, at the end of this lap.
Inters look like the best tyre for now.
It may not be the end of this lap though. Obviously the engineer is saying it. Oh, never mind. Maybe it is. Let's see what we do at the end of this lap. Lap 18. Yeah, we do. We're coming in for the inters. I wanted to hold it for the dry tyres, but the wets just fall off so quickly as we nearly bin it on the way into the pit lane. So we're going to stick the inters on and yeah, see how we go.
Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one. Complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
Strong pit stop then as we come out on the intermediates. We're going to be in between the two Alpha Tauris. As yeah, a little bit squirrely on the way out, but we should just about be able to hold it in front of Gasly. We have dropped ourselves down into P12. However, I don't see the Alpha Tauris as too much of a threat, so we should be able to catch Tsunoda and pass him.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
That doesn't sound good.
Okay, copy that.
Okay. I'm not sure why he was suggesting more inters, but whatever. The DRS is enabled, and you know what that means on this game. That means it's time for dry tyres. So at the end of lap 22, in we come for those dry tyres. I think we're going to stick on mediums. We are indeed. Mediums on.
Stop. Faster than we were expecting.
Some of the front runners have stuck on the hards, so maybe we can capitalise on this and make the most of it as we come out just behind Yuki Tsunoda in P11 where we were before. So still a bit of work to do if we want to get some points, and it may just be a single point. As you can see, Schumacher's way up the road there as we send it up the inside into turn 3, but that's not going to work out because we just went straight on and Yuki comes back through. We do get the DRS though, so that will help us minimise the damage of this mistake, but yeah, this lap is not the one for overtaking, it seems, as we just try to keep ourselves right there with Yuki. On to lap 27 and being a bit more patient this time around as we head out of turn 3 on the run down into turn 4. Maybe, just maybe, this will be the one where we can send one up the inside. Huge slipstream there. As we head into turn 4, we send one, a big one, up the inside, and around we go into the points paying positions. Just a single point at the moment, unfortunately, but maybe one of the cars out front will have an issue. I don't know, hopefully. I don't think we're going to catch Mick Schumacher in the laps we have remaining. As we move on to the penultimate lap, you can see we haven't caught them, unfortunately, so it's going to be just 1 point for us as we try to hold off Yuki, who is getting closer and closer. And what's happening here? We've got a yellow flag. Who's that? Somebody not in front of us as we didn't move out of place. So yeah, not sure what happened there. It looks like somebody either had a problem or a spin. I didn't quite catch it, but on the last lap, Charles Leclerc absolutely dominating the championship. He dominates this weekend, takes the win. Lewis Hamilton, though, is second place. That's a great result from Mercedes. And ourselves, we're going to come home for just a single point. But you know what? From where we were at the back of the grid, I will take that. That was a solid result. And Ocon really managed to recover quite well from his spin at the beginning. Didn't score any points, but yeah, solid second half of that drive, I would say. And driver of the day for the second day in a row. Lovely.
That's a fantastic performance from Ferrari. It hardly looked in doubt. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
Ferrari are at it again. An excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there.
As I said before, Charles Leclerc and Ferrari are running away with this championship. I don't know what Red Bull can do at this point to come back. Is it possible? It must be, because I mean, mathematically it's possible, but it's very unlikely given the form that Ferrari have had. It's been unbelievable, but we'll see. Lewis Hamilton, though, good to see him back on the podium. And of course ourselves, we scored a point from the back of the grid, so that was a really good recovery. Obviously not quite the weekend we would have wanted in terms of championship points, but nonetheless, I'm very, very happy with the result that we got. And Esteban Ocon came home for P11, so yeah, 2 points overall for us, but you know what, it's 2 points that helps towards the goal of getting that Constructors P4, so we're going to focus on that. And yeah, Charles Leclerc, as I said, 34 points for this weekend. Absolutely, yeah, absolute domination from Charles. Lewis Hamilton getting himself 24 points and Carlos Sainz getting himself 22 points. I almost wonder at this point, are Mercedes the ones that Ferrari should be worried about in terms of the championship? I don't think so. Lewis and George down in 4th and 5th. Max Verstappen is in 3rd, but he's a full 100 points off Charles at this point, so yeah, he's going to have a lot of work to do if he's going to turn that around, but we'll see as we head into the coming races. Only 4 people so far in this season haven't scored a point. That's Joe Guanyu, Lance Stroll, Nicholas Latifi and Alex Albon, the 2 Williams. So Williams not scoring any points at all in the Constructors. Not ideal for them. We are currently in P4, just ahead of McLaren, 10 points in fact ahead of McLaren. So that's a good advantage. We would hope to be able to get that gap a bit bigger, but we'll see as we head into the next race. The next race being France, a track that either goes really well for me or the complete opposite. So fingers crossed it goes really well. We're going to bring a special livery to that track, so watch out for that one. If you did like this video, leave us a little like, leave a comment, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye.